The U.S. War for Independence is one of the most founding historical events in the United States history. But it's what happened afterward that actually changed the government the most and made it so effective that it still stands today. During the War for Independence, the states were held together by something called the Articles of Confederation. However, this government still had many flaws, with no president, no executive agencies, no judiciary, no Navy funding, no Army funding, a weak foreign policy, and no trade policy. And so, as Hamilton said in Federalist Paper number 15, there are material imperfections in our national system, and something is necessary to be done to rescue us from impending anarchy. And so, the Articles of Confederation were thrown away to make way for a new government. During the creation of this new government, there were two main parties that wanted separate things. The Federalists, who wanted a strong central government, and the Anti-Federalists, who wanted strong rights of the people. But eventually, both wants were met with the U.S. Constitution, which had a strong central government, and a Bill of Rights, which had strong rights of the people. And so, as I quote from the beginning of the U.S. Constitution, "We the people of the United States, in order to form a more perfect union, do ordain and establish this Constitution for the United States of America." And so both the Federalists and Anti-Federalists were satisfied. This Constitution split the government into three separate houses, or branches: the legislative branch, the executive branch, and the judicial branch. The legislative branch is made up of Congress, which is made up of the Senate, which consists of 2 senators per state chosen by the state's legislators, and the House of Representatives. In the House of Representatives, members are directly elected by the eligible voters in their state, and the number of representatives is determined by the number of people in their state. The legislative branch can do things like approve laws, borrow money on U.S. credit, regulate trade with foreign governments and among the states, promote useful arts, declare war, regulate and pay the Army and Navy, and write laws for the nation's capital. The executive branch is made up of the president, who leads the executive branch and is chosen by electors chosen through procedures set up by state legislators. The vice president, who takes the place of the president if he dies, resigns, or is removed from office, and is chosen the same way as the president. The cabinet can advise the president on any subject relating to the duties of each member's respective office. The president can be commander-in-chief of the Army and Navy and state militias when needed. He can grant pardons for all offenses against the U.S. except impeachment. He can make treaties with consent from the Senate and appoint high officers in the U.S. The last branch in the government is the judicial branch, which is made up of the Supreme Court, which is the highest court in the United States, and the judges do not have set terms and are paid a salary, and other federal courts. Judges do not have a set term and are paid a salary also, and other federal courts are set up by Congress. The judicial branch is able to hear cases that involve the Constitution, federal laws, and international treaties. They hear cases concerning foreign emissaries, in which the United States is a party, between 2 or more states, and between a state and a citizen or 2 citizens, and more. Each separate branch was given powers to oppose the others, so that all of the branches would be stopping the others from having all the powers while still protecting the citizens of the United States, kind of like a house of cards. This way, as I quote from Madison in Federalist Paper 51, in the extended Republic of the United States and among the great variety of interests, parties, and sects which it embraces, a coalition of a majority of the whole society could seldom take place on any other principles than those of justice and the general good. Now let's look at some examples of what would happen under certain conditions. Let's say that one day the president is out surfing, and then one day another surfer pulls up beside him, although him, wanting all the good waves for himself, pushes the other surfer into the water. Then afterwards, when he gets onto the beach, he finds out that the surfer he had pushed is dead. Well, then Congress would quickly impeach him because they are the only branch of the government that can do that. And then he might try to pardon himself with the pardons that are given to him. But then the Supreme Court would come in and say that that is unconstitutional. He would then be taken to the Supreme Court, where he would be removed from office and sentenced to jail for the high crime of murder. And the vice president would be put in his place. Let us say that one day the small city of Legopolis is sadly hit by a tsunami coming from the west, and it destroys half the city. Once the president hears of this, he'll want to make sure to include it in his State of the Union address that he gives to Congress. Then, Also, since he is chief and commander of the army, he'll be able to send some of the army and navy over to help with the cleanup and the care of anybody who is injured. Let's say that one day a foreign government decides to wage war in the United States of America. Well then, Congress, since it's the only branch that has that power, would have to wage war. Then the president will be able to command the army and send some troops over from the navy and military. Afterwards, if it is found out that the vice president had helped the foreign government, then he will be quickly sent to the Supreme Court for treachery, and he will be sentenced to prison and will be removed from office.